Hi, my name is Cindy Rang from the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington, and if you are making your masks, you're finding that you're running out of elastic and interfacing. So we're going to talk about how to find the right thing and what you can use so that your mask is safe. So if you've watched the previous video, we talked about what you have to put in the inside and the fact that you have to have it sealed. There's been a lot of questions about that. And so I thought we would just review that just for a second. So people are saying they're not able to find the interfacing, and so they want to know if they can just use multiple layers of cotton or if they could add flannel. The thing with flannel is super, super soft, but it isn't any different really than cotton. It just has a different finish. When we talk about cotton, we're talking about 60 square cotton, and what that means is it's a woven fiber and it's how many threads are in a square inch. There's 30 going one way and 30 going the other, so it's a nice tight weave, and if you pre-wash it, it's even a little bit tighter, and so it works really well. But let's just imagine for a moment that this is a close-up of a weave of cotton fabric. You can see that if you were a germ, you could easily make it through. If you were a tiny little virulent germ, you could very, very easily make it through. And this nasty little coronavirus, which is a 0.1 micron, super tiny, it's going to easily make it through. It's even going to easily make it through if you double your layer of cotton. Let's say that you've put 4 layers of cotton. It might be a little harder, but it made it through. So people that are asking, but how many layers of cotton can I put on? It's not going to matter. The cotton is what makes it breathable. That is that very first stop to be able to maybe absorb some of the, spittle or whatever, but this little micron is still going to make it through. What makes these work, if you can hear that, what makes these work is the non-woven fiber that we're putting in. If you put that in, it's not making it through. So this is the key. This is the ingredient. You can do 2 layers of cotton, 1 layer of that, well, 2 layers. We're putting a layer on the back side of one, we're putting a layer on the back side of the other, putting those together. So I'm going to tell you straight up, and in fact, there's a video link, and I wish I can, we'll attach it on our website and on our Facebook page, but there's a video link, and they actually shot bacteria through different things to see what sort of fiber will work the best. Is it cotton? Is it t-shirts? What can we cut up? What can we do? And we can get our mask absolutely at as good as an N95. I wonder if I should say that. Let's stop. All right, we've consulted with our legal team. we believe absolutely scientifically this will work. This will work okay, because what's happening, this is not an N95, this is just a simple mask, but if you can't get them, the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to put some protection on that you think you're okay when you're really not. So our whole thing is, if you're going to make a mask that you're going to take down to the nursing homes, the adult family homes, to the nurses, to the physicians, make them as safe as you can. If you're going to go through the trouble of making them, then we want you to make them right. And we're back to this again. That's why we don't like these, because what's going to happen is you have a gap here, you have a gap on the side, you have a gap underneath, and again, it depends on what you're putting in there. If you've gone through all of the trouble to put the right ingredients in there, but you still have air holes, it's still not going to work. So again, you need to make sure that it fits snugly, you need to make sure that you can seal at the nose, and you need to make sure you have the right stuff in there. So let's talk about, if you are having a hard time finding everything except your cotton, let's talk about the stuff that you can find. All right, our favorite thing at the moment is this, because we feel like people haven't realized what it is, and you can kind of find it everywhere. You can find it in these 3-yard packets. We have, I think, 600 yards of it on its way, and it looks like this. What this fabric is used for is for these bags like this. So if you have some of these, a whole bunch of these, you can cut these up. Don't cut up my name, but cut all of these up. The other thing that this is used for is if you have a dust ruffle, the cotton goes around the bottom and this is what's on your mattress, it's that same thing. So what's nice about this, and if you look at this, if you're not sure and you want to test it, just take some water and spray it and see how it just peels up there. I'm not going to say that this is waterproof, but it is absolutely water resistant, because see, when I wipe that on there, this is perfectly dry on this side. My hand was wet, so I got this wet, but it's absolutely dry. So eventually that water is going to wick through. But the other thing that we're wanting is if we put this on the inside and we have 2 layers, then if you have the cotton here, it's just that extra, the moisture has to go through the cotton, through this layer, through the second layer, and through the last layer of cotton, and my face is right here. You can see where this is actually going to be extremely resistant, even to the tiniest little 0.1 micron. So that's why we're using this type of product. The other thing about this type of product is you can see that it holds its shape really well, because again, that's the whole point, is that you want to make sure, see this? You want to make sure that you're protected and that it's covered. All right, so let's look at some of the other things that will work. If you have some weird random pieces that you found, just test them, and you have no idea, no way of knowing what this is, do a couple things. Run it under the water, take off a little piece of it, put it in your hand with soap and water, and briskly wash your hands for that 20 seconds and see, is it dissolving, is it holding up? Because of course we want these to be washable. This is not a one-time use mask. We're giving these to people and they're washing them and reusing them. Staff members, nurses are asking for 12 to 20 per shift, and then they're gonna take them home, wash them, and they're gonna bring them back. So make sure it's washable, make sure it's durable. And then the other thing is you have to make sure that it's breathable. So do the test. And literally what I was doing was just sewing one, and I was putting it on and I was wearing it for 15 minutes. Because it's not only to make sure that it's breathable, that I can actually get air in and out, but also that it doesn't get too hot in there. If it's way too hot, people are not going to want to leave them on. So it's not just breathable, it's also that wearable. So hold this up to your face. You know, we're getting everything all gross, but of course we wash things before we're delivering them to the facilities. But hold it up to your face and make sure you can breathe through it. So if it passes the washability and the wearability and the breathability, then use it. Use it. It's perfectly okay. Even if you're not exactly sure what it is. If you're at the store and you're looking for things, this is Pellon. We love Pellon products. This card is online. You can search all of these, because people keep asking me, what number is good? All of these are non-woven fibers. And we didn't talk about that earlier, but non-woven, you know, we talk about how if something looks like this, something can get through there. A non-woven fiber is a bonded fiber. So it's not a weave, and that's what makes it resistant to anything finding its way through, because it's been bonded. So these are all different things. The only thing you're going to know or think about is that there's different weights. So the things that we are giving to people to make masks, we have picked things that are a little bit stiffer because we like the idea that it holds its shape. It's not 100% necessary, we just kind of like it. So the products that we think are the best are this 911 fusible featherweight. The thing to keep in mind with this, though, is that you have to iron it onto the wrong side of your fabric. The other one that we like is this sew-in. This is what we demonstrated when we did our first video. And this, it doesn't iron, you just lay it down and you sew it through. This is a really nice weight, super nice. Mid-weight is nice. This is the exact same thing as this, it's just a little bit heavier, so we're good. Shirt tailor is good. The sheer weight. The thing with the sheer weight is it's still going to work, and if you're uncomfortable, you could put a couple more layers in there, but these are our favorites here. Oh, the other one is the shirt tailor. Oh yeah, here, I'm going to flip this over. Did I make you dizzy? Shirt tailor, we love the shirt tailor. The shirt tailor is nice and thick, but it also is fusible. So anyway, look through these. You don't want to...
And see, this one says woven. That's a no-go.
Yeah.
That means that little coronavirus germ will make it
looks
through
like that. So if you put in a woven stabilizer, it's no different than putting in another layer of cotton. It's no different than doing this. Taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, that bead is still going to find its way through. You have to add something that's non-woven. All right. So we talked about that. This is Shape Flex. We love Shape Flex. This is the fusible featherweight. I want to talk about what's not going to work.
And I should mention, we found this in our local Walmart craft store.
Yeah.
You probably won't find it in most quilt stores. So go to your Walmart, your craft stores, your Joann's, your Hancock's, whatever. Those are going to have that.
What will not work, people were asking about dryer sheets. I think that people think that this looks like the same thing as that. It is not the same thing. And the other thing is this isn't going to hold up in the washing machine very long. So don't use a dryer sheet. The other thing that will not work is fusible web. If you're not a sewer, fusible web is not the same thing as fusible interfacing. Fusible web is a product that makes something an iron-on. So we put fusible web on the back of interfacing to make sure that this will iron on. But this alone is nothing other than that sticky stuff to hold two things together. The other thing is, even though this one is a no-sew one, the Ultra Hold, what typically happens is after about 3 washings, fusible web will wash out. So this is a no-go. The other thing that's a no-go is batting, fusible batting. I think technically it should work because this is a polyester batting. It's bonded, it's fusible. This should work, and it does, except that the problem with batting is it was not wearable. After a couple of minutes, it got so hot that it was too uncomfortable to wear, and you felt like you had to take it off. So again, those are the 3 components that you want: washable, wearable, and breathable. So it fits those 2 of those categories, but it's way, way, way too hot. Okay, lastly, I also want to talk about the nose bridge. What we've been using is the aluminum pans because we thought this is something simple. Everybody has these. Not everybody's sewing machine likes to sew through them. So what we found is that if you took a piece of you'll have scraps of your interfacing. If you wrap it in interfacing, or even put some tape around it, for some reason your sewing machine doesn't seem to notice that, and so it's easier to sew through, so you can use those. The other thing that we found are these little hair clips. If you just don't want to even deal with sewing through something, take these little hair clips and pop this out. You can get these at the dollar store, a dozen of them, and then all you have to do is just bend it. It'll actually hold its shape really well, and then all you really have to do is just hand sew those ends, or if you feel comfortable doing a zigzag stitch on your machine, you can sew it down that way. And these were working really well, holding their shape, and again, they're not sharp on the edge, so they're washable and they're wearable. The last thing are the ties. So the elastic, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to find the elastic anywhere. I kept this one to show, we talked about this in the first video, but waterproof fabric, you think that you would like it, and this is that pull fabric, but again, it is not breathable. You can't get air in and out if it's for a lot of the waterproof fabric. All right, so anyway, so the elastic is great because it'll stay on really well, but we're running out of it. These we found at our local dollar store, and they work great because you can cut it in half right here, cut it in half, and you have 2 pieces, and it's the right size, so these work great. They had some other ones that were thicker, and those are just uncomfortable behind the ear. Once these are gone, I think that's it, and we're going to ties. So let me just show you, there's a lot of different options for ties. We did a little video about how to do just your own little homemade bias tape. The problem with this is that this is adding 15 minutes per mask, and for us, we're under a little bit of a gun, so we're trying to make them a little bit quicker. So other things that you can do is this is Grosgrain Ribbon, and you can see that it's a different because of that little grainy mark to it. So this is really nice stuff. This works really well. It washes really well. You are probably going to have to sew the end to make sure it doesn't unravel. And we're finding that the measurement that you need is 18 inches. So you'll need 2 yards per mask of whatever you use. 18 inches for the 2 top and 18 inches for the 2 bottom. Some of the Grosgrain ribbon, you might find some that are printed, and that's okay too. It's the same thing, it's just a little bit more expensive because it has a design to it. The other thing that we're finding is twill tape. We really like the twill tape. This is a cotton tape. This is fairly inexpensive, and so this is nice. We still have quite a bit of this. We've ordered more that's coming. And then you might find twill tape that's printed. And again, it's just going to be a little more expensive because it's got a print on it, but it will work really well. And in a pinch, while everybody else is buying up the toilet paper, you can go buy up the shoelaces. This shoelace is out of my shoe that I have worn for quite some time, and I've washed my shoes probably, I don't know, 10 or a dozen times. I took this out and I washed this thoroughly, and it still is in fantastic shape. So I think a shoelace is going to work great. They are going to be maybe a tiny bit short. Maybe that's just this shoelace, but I think if you cut this in half, you're okay. Because the other thing that I notice is that they're a little bit stretchy, just a little bit stretchy. So shoelaces will work great. The other thing is all of us have these in our sewing stashes. Well, maybe not all of us, but if you have some bias tape, the bias tape will work well. The one thing you want to know about the bias tape is that it may not wash fantastic. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and sew a seam down one side and probably down the other. The other thing you're going to want to do is when you throw them in the washing machine, tie them up just to keep everything from going super crazy when they're washed. The things that will not work for ties are, don't use yarn. This is not going to hold up in the washing machine no matter what kind it is. I mean, I just wouldn't use it. The other thing is don't use elastic that's too thick. This is not going to be comfortable behind anybody's ear. This is 3/8 inch. Don't use that. The other thing that's not going to work is a hair tie. People were confusing hair ties and headbands. This is not big enough. So if you're going to try to sew this into this and put this also, I have tiny ears and this does not fit my ear. So that is not going, no one is going to wear it. So this is not wearable. So again, the whole idea is to try to make a mask that is breathable, wearable, washable, and most importantly, that it really truly is going to protect you, protect the people that you're making them for. If you have any questions, be sure and contact us, but hopefully this has helped you to be able to find the things that you need to make the masks that you need and to stay safe.